Hey there. So I get emails occasionally from people that are looking for some Inkscape help with different kinds of projects that they just get stuck on. I got an email yesterday, or a couple days ago, from this guy named Marcus, and he sent me this image. And his request was that he wanted to be able to use this, like use the yellow part basically, but make it so that he could change any line or shape within it to a different color to make like different color combinations or something. I thought it would be an interesting one to make a video on because it's got some kind of complicated things in it. It'd be a good teaching opportunity. So first problem is going to be I can get this yellow part out. We're going to take the black background off of it, but it's kind of a negative space. It's not that easy. I can't just pull this layer off. I have to kind of recreate the layer. Um, so that's going to be a problem. And then once we get that, we'll take each line and shape apart. So basically what I'm going for is this was the after. The first part of it was isolating the colored part without the black background. And then once that's done, we're going to take each piece apart so that they can be different colors. Pretty sure he is not going to want this to be quite this colorful, but I just kind of wanted to show you that every piece is a different object. You can make it a different color. So that is the goal. It's what we're going for. So this image, I'm going to go to a new window. And that image I just downloaded out of my email. So I would go to File, Import, and go into my downloads and grab the file. And there it is. So if you've ever seen any of my videos, a lot of the beginning of this should be pretty familiar to you. So first thing we have to do is trace it. So we're going to go to Path, Trace Bitmap, and I make it colors, take out smooth, otherwise it like oversimplifies it, which you don't want, and remove background. And I'm going to drop this down to the minimum, which is 2 colors. It's technically 3 colors because it has this white. See, if I do 2 colors, you'll see that. If I go up to 3, I would get the whole, but it'll make a whole nother layer of everything just to give me that white. I don't feel like dealing with that, so we're going to make it 2. Hit OK. And now if I drag these apart, you'll see this is my vector file, and this is the regular, it was like a GIF or a bitmap or whatever it was. But so this one is now useless. This one, if you look at the nodes, if you go into this is the edit paths, you'll see all of the nodes. This is a vector file. That's what we're looking for. This we don't need anymore, so we're going to delete that. So now being it's got a black background, this white is not really white. It's a negative space. See the line in between there? There is no color there. So I can't really isolate that color. I have to fill it all in. Couple of different things that we're going to do here. So first of all, when you're going to fill, see how it's selected right now? You don't want it selected. If you're already selected and you hit fill and you pick a color, it changes the color of your object. Not what we're going for. Control Z to undo. You can undo your heart's content. So now we're not selected on it anymore. We hit the paint fill. Nope, we are selected still, sorry. You click completely off of it. My paint fill. Pick a color. And now, when you fill something in, so that's great. It filled it in. But when you zoom in on that, you're going to see it looks kind of gross. See all this white space around it? You don't really want that. It's not going to look clean when you're all done. We're going to Control Z again. And if I get the shape I want in my screen and fill it from as close as I can while it's still in my screen, like if I try to fill a bigger shape right now, like this one, whoops, like this one, part of it, of course that just proved me wrong. Control Z. If I zoom in too far and I try to fill this in, I'm not even going to fill it now. Because it couldn't see the whole thing, it actually cares. I think that's kind of dumb, but it does. So we're going to try to stay in a little bit closer when we fill these in, just to eliminate some of that space. Star, you can just fill in the star. Or sometimes it's easier to just recreate things. I'll show you what I mean. Like if you zoom in on this really far, white space, but you'll also see you lose some of the sharpness of like the corners. Things get a little like rounded. It starts to look kind of crappy after a while. So like when I do this star, if instead of doing that, I just make a new star, go to star, and just drag out a star. It doesn't match exactly yet, that's fine. So we're going to move it on top of this one. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. If you click on this box, so like right now, this is like the resizing arrows. If you click on it again, it turns into the rotating arrows. So we're going to rotate it a little bit. And then if you double click it, you get this little point again. This is where you drag in for like the point. You know what I mean? Like the sharpness of the curves and whatnot. So I have to mess with it a little bit to get it right, but make it a little bit bigger. Maybe fix it a little because it's still a little wonky here. See, if you do this, it like changes the whole shape of it. So yeah, it's a little trial and error, but sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not. Depends on what you're doing, but cool technique nonetheless. Make that a little bit bigger and I'll put it over there. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm going for. So now if I go into the black and I double click and I see all these points are not actually my star. These are the white star that was there before. So we're going to just delete them. I just dragged a box around some of them and I hit delete. Drag a box around the rest of them and get rid of them all. And now my red star is there, but it's just sitting on this black. See if I like move, man, that's not going to work. If I just move this, you'll see there is no more white star there. So now we have that star. That star, in the long run, if you made this big enough, would look a little cleaner than this star. So just an option at any rate. All right, so back to our filling things in. Same thing with these letters. I personally have this peeve against filling in letters. They just lose so much of their sharpness. It bugs me a lot. Maybe I'll do this, but all right, we'll do this limited in the meantime, and you'll see what I mean. You can see already these are filled or not. They're just a little bit fuzzy compared to like if you were to actually type that with a font. So this ultra cornhole here, I'm pretty sure that's Cooper. It looks like it. If I do that and go to my fonts and go to Cooper, yes, I have a crazy amount of fonts. It's a sickness. See, that kind of looks like that font to me. I personally would want this to look clean, so I would do that, but that's me. So I'm going to go object to path, make this, oops, I missed one, Control plus plus, like welds it all together so it's one big object now. I'm going to make it red so that I can see it on this background. I'll bring it over here. Again, we're going to click on it once so that we can rotate it. Click on it again so I can shrink it down. When you're shrinking something down, I'm holding the control key right now. If you hold the control key while you shrink it, it stays, like the ratio stays the same. It won't get all like wonky. See how like it'll do all that? If you hold control while you shrink it, it'll stay where you want it. So now I have it kind of where I want it, but I obviously have to bend it. So I'm going to just go path. And this is, where am I? Path effects. Sorry. It's been a while. I couldn't even find it. So we're going to bend this. So you click on this little edit on canvas. I don't know. And now we're going to kind of bend this the way we want it. It's weird because it's already, it's like rotated, so it's a little bit harder to get a good eye on it. You know what, this actually probably is not going to work because my letters are going to be, see how the letters are bending? I could do it eventually, but it's definitely going to take more doing than it's probably worth for this project. But that's how you would do that, and then we would just replace that text with that text, and it would be a lot prettier. for the moment, we're going to go back to filling. So we're just going to zoom in on these, fill them all in. So now, I hope I still have this one left down here. And we want this one, we actually want the white pieces. All right, so this piece that's left, I can't fill. See, if I click on it, it doesn't work. If you look down here, there's like a little, almost like an error window down here. It only stays for a second though. When I click on it, it says area is not bounded, cannot fill. Because this white just runs right into the rest of the white. It has to have a border. So to do that, we are going to add a border so that we can fill this in. I'm going to make some rectangles. I'm actually not going to leave them red because that's going to make it harder to differentiate them from the red that I'm using to fill. So we're going to zoom this in a little. We're going to put this right up against that. I don't want to make the design any smaller. I just want to block off the end of it. I'm going to duplicate that line with Control D. Just made a second one. We're going to bring that one down here. Zoom in again and put it just over top. And then duplicate that one. And then I want these to be perfectly straight. I could rotate this myself and line it up. There's this nifty little button here, right here, that will rotate your selection an exact 90 degrees so that it's still straight. So we're going to set this one in here, on there, and then duplicate that one and bring it over here and do that. So now we have, this should be all filled in. Hopefully these are all blocked, but we'll see. So now hopefully I can just go like this and fill it in. And then we don't need these anymore. Serve their purpose. So now everything is filled in. We can take this part away and we do not need it anymore. So now we have this. The only thing I want to do before I go further is these letters are not welded together right now. They're all individual. See that? I'm pretty sure that he would want the words at least to stay one color. So I'm just going to drag a box around those items. Let's see that they're all selected. And then I hit Control plus plus and they become one. These letters are going to be a little bit more not as fun because you can't just drag a box around. It'll get a bunch of other stuff in the box. So these I'm just going to click on one of them, Control, click on the next one. Oh, not Control, sorry, Shift. And keep on clicking, just holding Shift, and it'll just keep on adding objects onto my. Now they're all selected, Control plus plus. Now those are all one part. Now the stars are individual. But, okay, so we have, so this is by itself. These are all themselves, obviously. This word is by itself. This is by itself. The problem is this shape. That last one that we filled in is now all one shape. So we need to split that apart to get all of these lines off of it and like themselves. So once you see how I do it the first time, it'll make a little bit more sense. It's just sort of time consuming. So there's a couple of different ways to do this, and I'll actually do it both ways at some point here. So one way to do it is to basically just erase a line right here. And then you have that piece, you have that piece, you clean them up and you're done. So I'll do that first. This is one way to do it. We're going to make just a little line here. Again, I'm going to make it a different color. I'm going to take this line, zoom in pretty far here. The cleaner this is, the less cleanup I have to do. If I click it once, I can rotate it. And the idea is to get it to right, like just intersect this right there so that I have this piece. So now I take that piece. If I zoom out a little, you'll see this easier. You can either keep double clicking on this until you get your points, or if you just have it highlighted, have it selected, and click that one, the little node button, you'll get your points. So now I hold shift. Is it shift or control? Actually, I think it's control. Nope, it was shift. Shift and that one, and now they're all highlighted. I'm going to go up here and do path difference, and it erases it. You can see that. All right, so now this shape, I just have to kind of fix a little. I made like this little cut out there. I'm going to delete that node. Actually, this one looks pretty good. You can see you can kind of change the curve here. You just want it to look natural. And now this piece, I want it to be longer because I erased that piece. So I'm going to take these nodes and drag them down to where they meet this. Now, if you click on these nodes, see they have these? This is how you control their, like the curve. I gotta make this thing a different color because I can't really see it. All right. So, why did that do that? That's strange. It like reconnected itself. Let me undo a little bit here. All right. Oh, I know why. All right, so this piece is actually not by itself yet. Right now, it's still part of this big image. I just made it itself. So what I'm going to do is fill that piece in. That's what I need to do. So we'll fill that in, and now I have the piece I want. I'm going to erase it out of this. I know this is confusing. Right now, you see the green there. The green is sitting on top of the red. So if I erase these points, delete. Now the red part is gone. This green is actually just sitting there by itself now. See? So now I can take that green and make it longer, which was what I was trying to do before, and I apologize. Lost what I was doing for a second there. At this point I don't really need, I just need it to be kind of curved. And you bring the curve down. And there you go. So now we have that one. Another way you can do it is just create that shape like I showed you with the star before. This is just a rectangle. So we can just create our own rectangle here. Depending on what you're doing, sometimes this is faster, sometimes it's not. It's just kind of a do what you think you got to do kind of a thing. All right, so we're going to just match this angle up perfectly. Got to get the size right too. It's not quite the right size. So I'll make it a little wider. That looks pretty good. And then if I go into the points of this, actually going to make this a little bit easier to deal with. If you go path, when you make a shape yourself, if you go object to path, it'll turn it into a regular shape with like points like I had before. So I'm just going to move these to match the shape that I'm creating is on top of. Pretty simple shape, so this might be faster. So now I have that shape. And again, like before, I'm going to go on here on the red, double click on the red part and get rid of, now this one will be a little bit different. Okay, so I got rid of those points. But now, I'm going to move this for the moment so you can see it. This is actually not the right shape yet because we still have, there's no more points up there. It's like this curve, see the curve? So you have to drag this down, get it back to, you can drag back to any of these points, like you can drag it back to its own point, if that makes sense. And get rid of all your, see if I click on this, on the node itself, you can see the little bends coming off of it. If you drag those back to the points, it's now a straight line. And then you can kind of create your own bend. So now it's kind of round again, see? And then we make this back out where we needed it. We can curve that up a little bit. Honestly, I think that's going to be more work than just doing what we did over here. So I'm going to go back to doing it that way for the moment. So I just did two of them. Honestly, it's just going to be the same way. It's, for the most part, almost done here. So we're going to take, the other thing you can do is use the eraser. Try this as a third way. Sometimes this works okay. Sometimes it doesn't. You're drawing a really rough line, but so I just held my mouse button down and dragged the eraser across, and now it separated the pieces for me. So there's that. And then we can color that one in. Oh, why is that there? Because I hit the spray paint. We wanted to fill. Okay. So there's that. And then again, we get rid of this. Get rid of all these points. See, now down here, look at the mess I made with that eraser. Oh my. Okay, so we have to get rid of all this. Again, this is going to be more time consuming than it would have been to just do what we were doing before. Actually, I'm gonna have to get rid of all this anyway. This will clean up the whole, I have to clean up that jagged edge that I created. So I don't want all of this junk. We're just gonna get rid of it all. I'll fix this in a minute. In the meantime, now you can see we're back to sort of what we had over there. So the red is all gone. On this green, I have to do the same thing. I have to get rid of all this junk. The more points you have, when you go to, if you're gonna cut this like on a Cricut, every one of these points is somewhere that the Cricut blade is going to touch down. So you don't want any more than you have to have. It just makes it messy. So I'll drag this out a little, make it round again. Let me go back to this. Bring it down to that. When you're dragging nodes around, it definitely takes a while. It can be really, really frustrating. I do it so much that I'm to the point that I kind of make my own font sometimes. Like if there's a font that's close to what I want, but there's certain letters I don't like the way they're shaped, I'll just use it and then reshape the letters myself with the nodes. It definitely can be a little frustrating. You gotta have some patience with it, but you get the hang of it. All right, let me fix this a little there. All right, so that's that one. That one, I don't like how long that one took. We're not going to do that again. All right, we're going to go back to my little lines. Whoops. All right, let's take this one. We're just going to put it over here somewhere. Doesn't need to be this thick. Shift and get the other part. And do path difference. Now we have two pieces. I will fill in this piece and get rid of all the points on this piece. So the red one is gone, and then I just have to fix this red. Sort of round it a little bit. Fix this green. You don't need these extra points that are in here. You just make your curve not, you can't really make it nice and round if there's cut points in it. So that's that one, and I think all we have left for this, so we're halfway done. Actually, easiest way to do this, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I don't know how this image was created, if it's actually I can already tell it's not, that's not going to work. I was going to just take these and duplicate them and dump them on top of this, but they're not going to match, so that's not going to work. At any rate, I don't think I need to keep going with it. I think that you get the idea on how to do that. So that is what you're going to end up with once I do that a few times. So then you would have every single line, every single shape can be a different color, like I showed you in that beginning part. All right, so hopefully you learned a couple of things with this. Inkscape is a lot of fun, definitely a learning curve, but you have to just kind of mess around with it. You can really do a lot of cool things with it. Just give it a chance. And keep coming back. I'll try to keep making more videos, and have a great rest of your day.